Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So today we're going to continue the series, the Unported playlist, where I take a listen to my favorite unported arcade games of all time and listen as I mispronounce and mangle the hell out of this game, En-Eins Perfektewelt. This is a sequel to a Naomi fighting game that I showed on the channel before, and I will link down below. It is absolutely a wild, over-the-top, ridiculous, Guilty Gear adjacent game that is 100% fun to play and a little bit janky around the edges, and you know that's my favorite flavor of arcade game. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But this is a doujin or fan game that is relatively popular in Japan, and this version never came out in North America, nor did it ever leave arcade, so it is still an arcade exclusive. Luckily you can play it on PC and bring a friend along for the ride. This is your classic Guilty Gear style 2D artwork affair. You get a lot of frames of animation. You can tell that the animators and art designers definitely had a certain vibe going on when they made this game. Some of the characters are going to have a lot of animations of bounce like you would see in Mai from SNK and King of Fighters, and there's definitely some impossibly short skirts on display here, and that seems to be what the game is trying to at least lean on as far as getting people's eyes and getting them interested in playing it. And while I don't know if that's exactly what I would do if I was a game designer, you have to admit that that sort of thing is definitely effective. The good thing is that once they actually get your attention, they give you an awesome fighting game with a great engine and a lot of different move sets that you can use with a lot of different mechanics. And that kind of is the thing. They get you on the hook with a little bit of bait, as it were, and then they actually reel you in with some awesome gameplay, a ton of fun characters, and just overall strangeness. It's almost like they combined Guilty Gear with the world of Power Instinct, and they actually did those things and made them work. And I love the special moves here, how you can basically just decimate your opponent with a one-shot there. And that is the fun thing about this game. It is fast-paced, it's got great combos, it's got a fun input system, it's got some awesome 2D sprites. It really has everything you want out of a fighting game, and it's probably one that most people have never heard of before. If there's one thing this game could do better, and that was the same thing on the Naomi original, is the backgrounds don't really have much detail or animation in them. They do have a little bit of parallax, but otherwise there's not much going on, which isn't the biggest deal in the world. The backgrounds do look nice, they're just not as interactable as any other fighting game you're going to see in the 2D sphere. And the great part is you get an awesome roster as well. There's going to be 1 to 2 characters that you're absolutely just going to get the feel for, and those are going to become your mains, but there's so many different types of characters with so many different movesets and fighting styles. They really have thought of something for everyone here, from the lightweight characters all the way to a giant heavy tank, which of course you know I'm going to show you in just a moment. And that kind of is the fun part about this game. Its versatility and its range. There's somebody for everybody. It's got a good character roster, and you can kind of pick and choose who you want to play as, because you'll see here 15 characters off the start that you can decide to play around with, including that gigantic skull tank right there. And that is a good thing. There's so many different designs, and every single character is going to have a little bit of a story in the game. Granted, it is in Japanese, so you need to be able to read that to understand it, because as far as I can tell, this game was never translated over into English. But of course, the story in a fighting game, not the most important thing in the world. And bonus points for using the same blue, magenta, and yellow in their artwork and colorways that I use for the channel. I absolutely love all of the colors they chose in this game, and that really isn't surprising because I use them all the time in my own work. But that is the fun thing about this game. It is so colorful and so detailed. Some of the details are definitely there to catch your eye and get you in, as you can see here with those high kicks, but other details like the leaves blowing by in the screen just liven up the world a little bit more. But really it is down to the fighting game mechanics, and they are absolutely competent. I'm not saying this is one of the best 2D fighting games of all time. It's definitely a B+ tier effort, but if you're looking for a new fun fighting game to check out, this is probably one that I'm assuming most people have not heard of. So leave me a comment down below and tell me if you know about it or not. Another great thing is you get an absolutely awesome soundtrack as well, so go ahead and listen for 45 seconds and I'll come back, show you more characters, more levels, and give you more reasons why you should play this game. But enjoy!
Get
Really good soundtrack to the game, and of course, like I said earlier, there is also a gigantic skull-based tank that you can fight as in this game. Definitely kind of a throwaway character in the fact that the moveset is a little more limited, and it is just a little bit more of an over-the-top spectacle, but Blitz Tank here is definitely a player that you want to check out at least once, for no other reason than the fact that the developers of this game put in a giant death's head tank for you to fight as. It is so weird, it's so wild. I love his lack of animation frames when he turns around. It is just something that makes you laugh, makes you smile, makes you wonder what they were actually trying to do when they developed this character in the first place. That's not a knock on it, I absolutely love it. It just doesn't really fit the game and kind of feels just like one of those absurd characters like some of the pandas in Tekken. But there's so many different characters to choose from. You're definitely going to find somebody you like to play as. For me, Marilyn Dye here, she is my main, and it's not just because of her sprite, it's because she just kind of has that same fighting style as somebody like Mai from King of Fighters. And a lot of the different fighters here, you're going to have a comparison to some other game you played before. And that's the other good thing about this title. You can pick it up and start pulling off moves relatively quickly because the input system is similar. You'll see at the bottom left hand corner, I am charging up my special meter, the power up level. It'll go from 1 to 2 to 3, and if you can save that power meter till 3 and then try to blow off a special like this, you're going to end up with a bigger impact. That was a 100 hit combo there. Obviously it was automatic once I put the inputs in, but definitely keep that special meter growing. If you pop it off at level 1, you're just not going to get the same attack, so it's definitely a risk management thing. How much damage do you want to take until you can get that special meter up high enough for you to use it against your opponent? And I will say, as far as the CPU opponent is concerned, how I play all these games for capture, it gives you a decent struggle, but it isn't too difficult. But this, like every other fighting game, is definitely something where you want to bring a friend and play together. And there's so many different types of characters. We have a gun wielding nun right here doing her gun kata. Can't remember what movie that's from, leave me a comment down below. I just remember the gun kata part, and it is absolutely wild. A projectile based nun who has to reload her revolvers during the match, and you even have an input to actually reload the weapons. It is strange, it is unique, but it does work. You would think on paper if one person in a fighting game had a firearm, it would make it a little bit unfair, but honestly, for every single bullet you shoot, you're opening yourself up to a different attack, so you can be punished by that even if you can abuse it with the CPU. And that is the fun thing again about this game. There's so many different characters, so many different ways to play, but really what does it for me the most is just the over-the-top weirdness. I love the entire Power Instinct series. I think Metro Melee is my favorite arcade fighting game of all time. I don't think it's the best, it is just my favorite, and this game right here gives me the same vibes and that same sense of weirdness that something like Power Instinct does. And if you can remind me of that franchise, I know 100% I'm absolutely going to love the game and really enjoy it. And that's what this does. It just hooks you in with the spectacle with a little bit of that bounce animation, and then it keeps you there with an awesome fighting game. And that's all you really ever want. So this came out on the Nezuka X live service on the Taito Type X2, and it was exclusive to Japan, but I know some arcades in the US probably have this because I've seen a couple of Nezuka cabinets in Chicago that did actually have Japanese games on them. So if you've ever played this in arcades before, let me know down below, I would be curious. But this is the type of game, maybe you saw a screenshot or two, maybe you haven't heard much about it and you figured you should just skip it. And that is the problem with this game, barely anyone seems to talk about it. And that is just a bummer because I think a lot more people should. It's not the best fighting game ever made, but it is a solid B+ tier, and when you add in all the weirdness and wackiness on top of it, it just becomes a ton of fun. So next time you're having a fight night with your friends, load this game up, grab a couple arcade sticks, and just start playing it. I guarantee you're going to find something here that you're going to love in one character or another. But short of that, we are done. Definitely check this game out, and if you have any recommendations for further unported playlist episodes, leave me a comment down below. But we're done. We're going to keep kicking, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.